2. Okay. Down here below, it's graphing for you your energy associated with those calls. So you can see, how much kW, it's drawn when it runs. Now, what's nice about this too is, you get a call from your customer that's on this system, and they say, hey, it's not cooling off in here. It's 80 degrees, feels like the system's not cooling. You can look at this. You can actually see what temperature is it in there right now. What are the set points? You can see if it's calling. And then down here, you can see if there's energy associated with that call. So if it's a bad compressor and it's not coming on, then you're not going to see the compressor energy here. And then, by the way, you can see the difference between a stage 1, about a little less than or a little more than 2.6 kW, and then a stage 2 call, and how much energy those are drawn. That's a small unit, it looks like. If they're using an external temperature sensor, that would be graphed here. So, for example, if you're using one in supply air, that would be graphed in here. Humidity over the 24 hours is also graphed for you as well. And then down here, it's showing you, okay, for this 24 hours, when am I in an occupied schedule, and then am I having any overrides? Okay, so you can see that they're in schedule, but at, it's like about 6:50 p.m. last night, an override happened. So somebody's adjusting temperature. All of these graphs can be showing 24 hours, but you can go back and select the past date and history if you want to. You can change to a 7-day view. It gets pretty busy showing 7 days of this stuff, but you can. And then you can easily export this to a CSV, Excel file or a PDF or whatever. So if you're wanting to do reports, or customers wanting to do reports, they can do those. Okay. On the energy tab, so this is going to show you total building energy for the last 28 days. And it's going to first give it to you as an average, so you can see this Fort Worth facility on average is using 1,842, and their vacancy average is about 12%. Okay. Again, any point on here, roll your mouse over and it'll give you all the specifics, including average temperature for that day. Again, anytime you see these two icons, that can be downloaded into a report. So up here, we're showing you total building. Down here, we're showing you, okay, of what you're monitoring on the breaker side, how much is that, and what are you monitoring? So in this case, we're monitoring HVAC and lights. So it again gives you an average over that same time period, and then by rolling your mouse over it, you can see how much lights were for that day, how much was HVAC. You can click off one of them if you just want to isolate how much you had in HVAC, for example. Now these categories right here, these 5 categories, it's the default categories, but you can change those and rename them. So if you've got somebody that wants to isolate their walk-in coolers, for example, or ice cream machine, or whatever, you can change that, and then that will specifically show it on here. Okay. Now there's also an advanced graph button. So now what we're doing is we're actually looking at this from a panel level standpoint. So you'll notice there's an L1 right, a lighting panel, and MDP. Okay, so if we start at the MDP, this is your total main. Okay, and so you can see how much energy you're drawing, kind of the high water mark for the day. You can also see that, during vacancy, overnight, they're still drawing, low 30s, high 20s of energy. You can click off that main and then specifically look at what exactly you're monitoring. And so all of these can be named whatever, when you're setting this up. But you can see there's a bar unit, kitchen east, west dining. Okay. And again, you want to isolate just one, you can do that. Or that's 2 actually. All right, so whatever load 5 is, that they know what that is. Then they can see the energy for it. You can see which ones are drawing energy overnight, during vacancy. We're also graphing phase voltage for you and power factor as well. Here's an example. This is a lighting panel. right? So you can see how much energy it's drawing. It actually goes up and draws more in the evening hours. What do they have on this one? Just a booster heater. Anyways, whatever points we're monitoring, whatever's on that load side, is all graphed for you here. Now, most users, I'll be honest with you, they're not going to get down to this granularity, right? Unless they're really hunting for an issue and trying to figure something out. So as a contractor, this is something that you can offer to help grow your business. You know, offer it as a service, you know, pay for it, roll it into your planned maintenance or something like that, to where you're going to watch this for them, you're going to do reports for them, etc. Down here below, we're showing you your heating and cooling usage minutes. It's again another summary over the last 28 days. It includes your vacancy. When we click on advanced graphs, here it's going to show us how many minutes the system's been running so far today and in what mode. It's easier to see if I shut off idle. So you can see the, looks like center dining has been running the most, and it's all been in all cooling. Okay. Down here, the next graph is showing you, okay, over the last 28 days, how many minutes did I have, and was it heating or cooling or what? So you can see there's certain days like Friday the 3rd, they had, you know, 1,096 cooling minutes, but and then about half of that was in heating during the day too. And then down here it's showing you, of those minutes above, how many of them were for what unit. Okay, so you can look at it real quick. Just at a glance, you can tell your bar unit runs the most, okay, at 28% of the time. Followed by, looks like Far West dining, at least that day, was very little. Again, anything that you see here, you can click them off and sort them however you want to and isolate and compare. Okay. Another couple things to show you here. So on the setup screen, this is where you first go into to set up the facility and name it. This is where you go in and you name your controllers and add those. By the way, after you name the controller, so center dining west, about a minute later, that name then shows up on the ribbon of that controller. So if you've got them in a manager's office, a lot of times you guys have seen this where either it's penciled in, you know, what stat goes to what, or you got some kind of a sticker on it or something. So no need for those anymore. It'll all be on the stat. In here is where you would also set up your alerts. So alerts, I think I mentioned, they can be sent to multiple people by text or email or both. So there's some maintenance alerts such as, hey, remind me every month to change my filter. And for this unit, you can type in, you know, quantity 4, 20 by 20, or, you know, whatever. If there's a loss of communication, so loss of power to the stat, which would indicate a loss of power to the rooftop unit, most likely, because that's where it's getting its power from. So alerts like that can be set up. There's performance alerts such as high and low temperature. If you're using an internal temperature sensor, high and low temps, high and low humidity. Zone not regulating is a pretty good one. So if, you know, for a certain amount of time in hours, it's not maintaining the correct temperature, that's a good alert. And then if you're using the product in a duct sensor, for example, or as a duct sensor, you can get alerts based on that and put in your temperature. So a good off-coil temperature, you know, maybe 53 degrees or something like that, so it never gets to 58, you want to know. Alerts like that. And we also have energy alerts such as excessive fan runtime during occupancy or excessive heating and cooling runtime during occupancy, and then any heating and cooling runtime during vacancy. You can get an alert on that too. You can also set up multiple users. So there's always the main person that's considered the admin, but if you've got other users that you want to be able to log in with their own ID and see your facilities, you can set them up to have total access like you do, or just view only rights. Okay. What else can I tell you here? That's about it for the portal. I went over it pretty quickly, but any questions about anything you see in there?
On the amp clamps, you said you go down to 50 amps?
Yeah.
I mean, that'll pick up, say, if you had a 10 amp
Right.